Corey.
All right, so our questions about Justice Wargrave in the book, and then there were none. So Judge Wargrave has had a long history of considering crime and those who commit crime. He also calls himself a man with a strong sense of justice. As a result, he seems to feel that he has the expertise and right to single-handedly identify and punish those who have committed crime but have escaped conviction by law. Do you think that any man or woman has the knowledge and the right to single-handedly deal out punishment to others? Well, I think he does. So I'll start with some text evidence from the book. So we'll start with page 49. All right, I'll give you a quote. Only Mr. Justice Wargrave and Miss Brent seemed comparatively unmoved. And this was after that big conviction thing on the record that was played. And everyone was running around screaming, Mrs. Rogers fainted and all this stuff happened. He didn't care. All right. So this shows that he knew what he was doing was right, and that his convictions were right to his best knowledge and to the law that was made during whenever this book was written. Because it said that he murdered Edward Seaton, which was probably some criminal that he convicted and gave the death penalty to. So he thought that he did a good job at that, and I think he did too. Page 169 now. He's an old man. He's been presiding over courts of law for years. So then this shows that he is very experienced in what he does. Being a judge, a detective, a criminal profiler, he can do all that. He's good at it. So back in the old days when this was written, somewhere in the 1900s, crime was like, a criminal was made from a crime by a criminal profiler, basically. Because they didn't have technology with thumbprinting. You had a guy that sat there with thumbtacks on a map and some string, and he figured out where they are, who they are, where they went, everything. One guy did that. That was Wargrave here. Can see if Bean has anything to come back with here.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with them that Judge Wargrave was very experienced, but like he was also like kind of like extreme in his measures, like in like giving people justice. Like it said he has a strong sense of justice, but inside he's like a man that really wanted like to kill people for like their wrongdoings. Like his version of justice was like extreme, and he wanted to punish people to like the highest degree possible. And like to get this, he'd use like a hang jury and sentence the people to death. He also used others for personal gain. Like in the story, he used Armstrong, I think it was, like, to like carry out his plan of killing people and like faking his death. And then, but like everyone kind of just like looked past like his personality, like who he was. I think it was like only who was the detective? Like the detective, I think he like heard of Judge Wargrave and like how he used the hang jury thing. Like everyone else looked past that, but they didn't like. They just looked at like the title he had, and like they didn't see like his personality, how he was a killer, and like this made it like really easy for him like to give out like judgment, that extreme judgment to each person by going around and killing them. And like he's kind of acting like God too. Like he's like not taking into consideration that some of these people's like crimes are like less than the other people's, and he was just taking their lives for just doing one thing bad. Like you could have just like maybe like accidentally like hit someone and he would have probably killed you. And, like, yeah, and then they also like the mental state on the island. It was pretty like tense because like everyone was like worried about like the killer, like trying to figure out who was the killer, how to survive, and like they just weren't focused like really on like everyone and like what they're doing. So like this gave them the perfect chance like to give that justice out.
All right, now that we got the book out of the way, let's do some real life examples here. Okay. So I got this off a website called NOLO, which I guess has something to do with law and judgment and everything. So a quote from it: "Judges, not juries, almost always determine the punishment of a convicted person, even following jury trial." So once again, this is supporting my claim that one man determining the conviction of a criminal like Wargrave is doing here is the right thing to do. like in the American justice symbol, to find the justice system, the final punishment of a convicted person is usually under the discretion of one person, who is the judge. This is also from the same website here. Offender profiling is a method of identifying the most likely type of person that could have committed a crime based on evidence and information found at the crime scene, along with specific characteristics of the crime itself. This is what Justice Wargrave was good at. So he brought this whole justice system into his hands and did a good job at it, just with his profiling, everything. So I think he's a pretty good guy, doing the right thing. So, do you have anything you want to bring upon me here that I can spit back at you?
I guess I'll just go on with mine then. Well, I found a story of this judge in Indiana. She was like found guilty of like abusing her like powers and stuff, and like that's like what Wargroves is doing with the hang jury and stuff, and like putting people to death for their crimes. Like what I saw from this is like that not all like people are perfect, like in like their jobs. Like there's always gonna be someone that's like bad, like with like all those shooting incidents recently, like where like those things. Like my dad's a cop, so like he always says there's always good cops and bad cops. So like there's probably gonna be always good judges and bad judges, and I think Wargroves is one of those. And then to support that, I said if people, like I said before though, like if people have like looked at the judge's personality, they would have probably survived longer because they would have seen him for really who he is. And like honestly, like if they didn't listen to anybody and use their like survival instincts, I think they would have like increased their possibility of survival, and like they would have found out who the killer was. And then I have another story where a man took justice into his own hands when someone broke into his house, and then he like chased after that guy and he's like almost beat him to death. And then like that's kind of like Judge Wargroves when he's trying to fix like a wrong with a wrong by like killing someone for killing like yeah, he's killing someone that killed someone, you know. And then like the justice system's there to be fair and protect us from self-righteous people, which Justice Wargraves was. He wasn't really fulfilling his duty of that in the first place, and on the island too. And like that kind of proves that he was kind of mentally ill. Like he would have been able to follow through with his plan if everyone was like in the right state of mind. Like everyone would have seen his plan and been able to figure out it was him. And then like the thing that like the other people don't consider is that he's also kind of like guilty too, because he like killed all those people from like doing the hang juries and stuff, and like him killing them. And then I think if they just weren't like so like stressed out about everything, they would have like been in the right state of mind to find out his workers.
Alright, well you said there's bad judges and good judges. You have about half of that right. There's a good judge and his name is Justice Wargrave. Alright, so he had these many years of experience, alright, and him bringing this into his own hands to make the justice system that much better, he did a good job. Right. So, if he would have convicted these criminals and gave them the death penalty, they could still be on the streets and just do more criminal activity. So, you can also think, if you're thinking him putting these people to the death penalty is a bad thing, you should think of the death penalty as a problem with our justice system today, not Justice Wargrave. He made the convictions, but it's the government's choice beyond that to have the death penalty in the first place. I mean, there's like a great schism in our nation today of people that like it and don't like it. And Justice Wargrave was just going with what the law of that day was that he felt was right, so he did a pretty good job.